Well, Congressman, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're dressed for success here at the State Fair.
Yeah, dressed for protection too with the sun. So that's right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, as a young guy growing up in Iowa, did you make annual trips with the family to the State Fair?
I didn't make annual trips. I grew up in Sioux City, and that was pretty far away actually at that time in the 1960s. And my family, we actually didn't do much in the way of vacations, but what I did between my junior and senior years in high school, a friend of mine and I came to the State Fair, and we camped out up here, up on the hill in a tent, and that was 1969.
How old were you?
Junior and senior year, that summer, in between. 17, that's right.
Someone had a driver's license.
That's right, not quite 17 actually. And we camped out up here, and I remember being very warm, and the Varied Industries building was, excuse me, was pretty much the way it had been for a long time. There was no air conditioning.
Just open air.
But this is how it's supposed to be, I think, in some ways. This is really wonderful. No, it's really great. This is a great institution. My wife is here with me. She's from the Chicago area. She really enjoys coming to this every year, too. It is a great tradition. There's no doubt about it. And as an Iowan, as somebody who grew up in Iowa, was born and raised here, I'm very proud of what this does, what this is, and what it represents. So I think this is all America. That's all there is to it.
Before we get too off the subject, I want to hear more about this 17-year-old trip you made. What did you guys do? Now, that was your first experience coming to the fair.
Coming to the fair.
And a buddy.
Just a buddy and I. That's right.
What did you do? What do you remember?
Well, we walked the Midway. We got around, talked to a lot of people, and looked at all the different things that are here today too. It was really great fun. It was great fun.
Did it run through your mind, wow, we should have done this years ago? I mean, were you like...
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And then, of course, I'd done it some over the years, and now that I've been in Congress, I've been coming every year, of course. It's an important thing for me to do, and do the soapbox.
Have you brought your children here?
Yes, as a matter of fact, and my wife really enjoys it, as I said before. This is really a fantastic thing for her, especially not being from Iowa, especially being from the Chicago area. It's almost exotic for her in some ways, but she's not with me most of the day because she's getting around doing her own thing.
That's a funny way to put it. It is exotic. If you're not from Iowa, there are a lot of new experiences here, but that's part of the fun, isn't it? You can't believe all the people from outside of the state who make up that million visitors.
Well, that's right, and then that's because it is a nationwide, nationally known thing. And I go back to DC, I'll go back in September and tell people about this experience. They know it, and of course the politicians and the presidential races, they've come in and they've made it even more famous in some ways with the soapbox and with the different presidential candidates who come in here and talk to folks every year.
I'm interested, you say you kind of bring your experiences back to Washington to try to explain the State Fair. Not easy to do, I'm guessing. You kind of have to experience it to understand it, don't you?
It's okay if they're from Indiana. It's okay if they're from Ohio. It's okay if they're from Minnesota. But from a lot of other places, it's very difficult for them to understand and to comprehend what this is and just how big it is. That's the other thing. They can't imagine there's something this size in Iowa. So all of my colleagues and I have to engage in a pretty heavy-duty educational process, as you might imagine.
What is it? What do you look forward to the most? When you know you're coming to the State Fair, what runs through your list of things you have to see or do when you get here?
Well, I exercise almost every day, and I try to be careful about what I eat. But when I come to the State Fair, all bets are off. That's all there is to it. This is sort of how I grew up. This is the kind of food that I grew up with. And
when in Rome.
No, this is fantastic. I absolutely love it.
What is your biggest weakness when it comes to anything on a stick or any State Fair food?
Everything on a stick. Everything here. I don't have one big weakness.
You got to have a favorite, though.
I think the pork chops. I serve up here at the pork producer's tent every year,
sure.
And it works out really well. And I love to have one of those big fat Iowa pork chops when I'm done.
Just one?
Just one. That's right. That's right. That's enough indulgence.
That'll set you for the day, won't it?
Pretty much.
Just
pretty
one.
much.
Well, Congressman, we really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Why don't you just send us out with, for people who have never been to the State Fair, how would you sell them on it in 1 or 2 sentences?
Well, they need to have an experience that the State Fair is. So many people outside of America really don't know anything about rural Iowa, rural America. People outside of Iowa, I should say. People in the big cities, people in those metropolitan areas. I think it's really important for them to have this experience so they have some sense of what we do here in Iowa. It'd be nice if they go on a farm visit, it'd be nice if they do other things, but at least come to the State Fair because they can experience so much of rural Iowa and what Iowa has to offer. So I I would recommend that all my colleagues from Congress and anyone else who might happen to see this video come here. We're very welcoming people.
Like we were saying, you got to see it, experience it,
to believe
understand it.
That's right.
Congressman, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks you guys.